The Daily Q. We back up in this bitch. What up? Jerron Eichner here, talking news, gossip, things that might inspire you to be better at life or as an artist or whatever. Doesn't really matter. I don't like intros. I really don't like doing intros. I know I gotta do intros, but I don't like doing them. But I gotta do them. So, if you're watching this video, wherever you're watching that, we're going live currently on Facebook and YouTube. If you're watching this, please give us a like or a follow. We appreciate that shit because it motivates me to keep doing it. Anyways, let's get into this. The Daily Q. Adam Levine is the topic of the day. Yeah, man, I don't even know. I was simmering on this topic because it's one of those things where, like, none of this had to happen, basically. Like, even, like, so, for those who are in the loop on this whole Adam Levine situation, Adam Noah Levine, I love saying his full name, was apparently cheating on his wife, allegedly. This is all alleged, by the way. So, I'm not trying to throw a man under the bus. I'm just trying to talk about the news as it comes across my way. But Adam Levine out here cheating on his wife with some Instagram model, right? Which is fine, whatever. Been doing it for the past year. I shouldn't say it's fine, first of all. It's not fine. This is something that a lot of celebrities do. That's not the surprising part of this whole situation, right? But allegedly he was sleeping with this woman for like a year, according to this chick. Which is a long time, by the way, to be like hooked up with a chick behind someone else's back. That's a long ass time to be cheating on somebody. Cheating on someone for a year, and essentially, they parted ways. He went back to his wife, naturally. Got his wife pregnant, and then still decided to slide into the DMs of the mistress, but not for the sake of a booty call or anything like that, but rather because he wanted to ask her for permission to use her name to name his child. Now, like, this like blows my mind. Like, I don't even know like how someone feels like they would be that bold to do something like that, in the sense where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna go ahead and like blow up this, because this chick is like 23 years old, first of all. So that's one of the parts that makes this kind of weird. Is this chick is super young. Adam Levine is like damn near 50. I actually don't even know how old Adam Levine is. How old is Adam Levine before I sit here and talk shit? Oh, he's like 65 years old. No, I think he's probably like 40 something. Let me see. Adam Levine's age, he's 43 years old. But still, though, homegirl is 23. So he's 20 years older than this chick, right? And with that in mind, it's like, bro, what, like, your kid is going to be, like, almost closer to age to her than to like, anybody else. It's like, it's just goofy. You're basically, like, naming your sister for her. It's, like, really weird. I don't know. But the fact that he slid into the inbox, that prompted this girl to just blow up the whole spot and just expose all the messages and all that stuff, and go on TikTok and do the TikTok thing and tell all her friends and all that stuff. So it went viral. I woke up this morning, saw the news, read the article. I'm like, that's kind of wild, because of the fact that she is not absolved of all this, right? Like, she's also in the wrong too. She was the one also being a mistress willingly to Adam Levine for damn near a year. And since she spilt the tea, right, she's coming out like, oh, kind of like the hero in the story, quote unquote. But the real victim is the wife, who has stood by Adam Levine's side this entire time. I think they're still together. And I have a lot of theories about that, but I'm not going to necessarily go into in this video. But I will say that money is a very powerful tool in relationships. And, her choices basically are to divorce this man and pull a Mackenzie Bezos and take all this money, or stick it out and keep your quality of life and do all that. And honestly, like, it's just super weird for him to even like consider. It's not even the fact that he wanted to name the kid. That's not even the goofy part. The goofy part comes down to actually like reaching out to her and then asking her for permission. Like, what? That's wild, dude. Like, and now it's all over the internet, and now you're looking like a super simp. Just like a super simp. That's how it is. Like, I didn't really have like a lot to say about this. I just thought that it was a very interesting story, and I figured I'd lead the show with it. I don't have a lot of quips or anything clever like that. We're just here, okay? Anyways, moving on. I want to get into the artistic motivational side today. I want to talk about, well, first of all, this whole part is inspired by Kendrick Lamar and his song Saviour. Probably one of my favorite songs of the year. One of my favorite parts of the song is the part where he's like ranting off all these different names and how these people are not their savior, or not your saviors. Like, you know, LeBron James made you give him his flowers, but he is not your savior. Kanye did this and this and this, but he is not your savior. And it had me thinking, like, the social media might get you popping, but it is not your savior. The social media is vicious. And I've seen it time and time again. And I've actually spent a lot of time kind of like watching social media creators and like their rise and oftentimes their fall and how that happens, right? And a lot of this comes down to the fact that if you really think about it, most social media people, like people who become famous solely off of social media, there's like basically two options for them, right? Either you're going to blow up off social media and then that's going to be your thing, to where like you have to just keep making social media and entertaining the masses forever and ever and ever until you burn out. That's basically like what I've seen a lot of happen with a lot of people, where you just burn out. Or either you burn out or you get canceled, basically because you said something wild or you pissed off some black folk. Don't ever piss off black people on social media, by the way, because that's the worst thing you can possibly do, is piss off black people on social media. We will come for you and we will cancel you hard. Don't do it. I've seen it happen time and time again. Perfect example, if you ever get a chance, go look up the story of Only Jesus and basically her rise and fall. And you probably know who this chick is because she's out here. She's the white girl that has the phone, and she's like, oh no, if you pinch your hand right here, you can stop a headache. She just gives like random facts, right? But she got completely canceled over some quote unquote racial stuff, like very quickly. Like she was on the rise, getting millions and millions of followers, and then this controversy hit, and then you're gone. And this is why I circle back to the phrase, you know, social media is not your savior. I think a lot of people believe that, oh, if I get famous on social media, it's going to be all good from there. And it's like, you got to get your infrastructure intact, because a lot of the money-making deals, a lot of these contracts, a lot of these things don't happen on social media. You're not going to get a contract for a major deal in your inbox for Instagram, right? You have to be able to be communicable and talk to these people face to face and be able to shake hands, but then also have the blueprints and the business plan and all the math and the numbers and be able to present this, right? Now, if you are a social media god or whatever, you're out there popping on social media, that's great. But, like I said, there's a glass ceiling there. Unless you have Mr. Beast level funding or support, there's a glass ceiling for most social media creators, because unless you have support, financially speaking, or just millions and millions of followers, you basically have to keep churning out content constantly to hit that tipping point. And it gets exhausting, right? I talked about this in yesterday's video where it's like, you know, Gary Vee and all these social media creators are like, oh, you got to drop all this content constantly. But then time and time again, I sit here on YouTube and TikTok and I watch all these creators talk about how burnt out they are. And it's almost like a trend, right? Where you'll see someone out there popping and they're like, oh man, I'm popping. You know, I did my last video. It got 80,000 followers and I'm on top of the world right now. I got to do another one. Right. And a lot of this is psychological, and a lot of it's like also almost like an addiction. Actually, it is an addiction, right? Those dopamine hits that you get from seeing those numbers. But the problem is that we forgotten, because we all knew this, is that a lot of these numbers are manipulated and doctored and based off of algorithms, not necessarily genuine data that can be used in a sense of growth and progress, unless you actually sit there and spend the time crunching the numbers and doing all the math and all that. But a lot of people don't do that. They just look at their TikTok and say, oh, I got 80,000 views on my last TikTok. I guess I should just do that again and do it again and again and again, and then you burn out. You burn out. And I said, I've seen it happen. It's happened to me before, where when I was running the Starstruck Multimedia page and doing that for a while, and we were getting, hundreds of thousands of views a week. Sometimes we were cracking 1 million. And basically, what I was doing was I was trying to farm content constantly online, trying to farm videos, farm content. I wasn't able to create the demand for the content that the page had. So I'm out here just taking content, trying to speak on things, et cetera, and so forth. We had the air out, we had the heat check, we had a couple shows going. We were doing a bunch of stuff, right? But because of the fact that the infrastructure wasn't quite intact outside of social media, meaning that there wasn't like a business model, like a real business model outside of social media, other than, oh, we all make music, right? So, maybe if we go viral on these posts, some of these people who see our shit might come back around and listen to our music. That was basically the strategy. And it worked to a degree. Like Starstruck was popping in 2018, bro. We were doing crazy numbers, and we got a couple of artists some pretty good attention. So it's not like that. What I'm saying is not effective. Like, I'm not over here trying to say don't do this. What I'm saying is that you have to be careful to avoid that psychological burnout, because that psychological burnout will leak into your art to the point where you're not dropping as much, or maybe the content you're doing is not as solid. And really what you have to really remember, going back to the whole point of this video, is that social media is not your savior. You have to have an infrastructure, a business plan outside of social media that exists, that is generating revenue or followers or fans or whatever. You have to have that blueprint outside of social media. If you don't, what's going to end up happening is that you're working backwards and you're trying to build a social media and then build a blueprint outside of that, which happens. I'm not knocking that. I've seen people do it time and time again, but that route is extremely exhausting, because if you're building it off the fickleness of an algorithm, you become a slave to it. Now you're over here making videos about stuff that you don't necessarily want to make videos about, because you know that the topics are going to get more attention, or that you're going to get more clout or whatever. But once again, this is all fickle, and you're not in control of it. Any point in time, Zuckerberg or whoever is in control of the social media app of your choice could decide to pull the plug on you, or shadow ban you, or put you in an algorithm that is not necessarily the algorithm that you want to be in. And you really don't have a lot of control over that if you don't have a fan base to help you navigate that. One of my favorite, he's not necessarily my favorite, but one of the dudes I actually respect a lot in terms of how he navigates his fans is a dude, Moist Critical on YouTube. I think he goes by Penguins or something like that. But he started off as a Twitch dude, right? Doing Twitch streams out there, playing video games, Twitch. And what he realized, this is actually what a lot of Twitch streamers do, is that once you cultivate a very good fan base, several thousand or whatever, you can pivot them, right? You can pivot them wherever you want to. It doesn't necessarily work on other apps, because I've seen creators try to do this on TikTok and it doesn't quite translate as much. But Twitch, because of the nature of Twitch and the fact that it is a live situation and you're catching all these people in the moment, you could definitely take your Twitch followers or any of your live stream followers and transfer them to new channels, right? But once again, the topic of this video is that social media is not your savior. So your main goal, the biggest goal, and I've seen creators do this, is to actually try to extract them from social media. And the best way that I've seen creators do this is actually go on tour. Another example, another YouTube creator is Curtis Connors, who I enjoy some of his content. He's a good guy. He's on tour right now. This dude is a YouTube comedian and does commentary on videos. But now he's actually doing the footwork and literally going out there and going on tour, hitting up venues, activating his fan base to meet him at these venues, shaking hands, etc., so forth. And that's really what it's all about. Because you could have millions of followers in social media, but if it doesn't translate into real world, it might not work out the way that you want. You might make a bunch of money off of it, sure, if you figure out a way to monetize those fans, which I mean, if you have a couple million fans at this point, you could probably monetize them how you need to. But the idea is that thinking that social media is going to be what gets you over, no. What's going to get you over is having a solid business plan, understanding your audience, and knowing how to contact them, not only through social media, but in real life. Doing events, sending them things in the mail, etc., so forth. Making sure that your fans feel cared for and nourished. And it's not necessarily about having a lot of fans. It's about having a very dedicated fan base. And even as I stream this video, I'm looking at my numbers right now. I have a couple of streams over, a couple of people watching over here, a couple of people watching over here. Not a lot of numbers, right? But I do know that the people that are watching, at least some of them, are die-hard, hardcore fans. To where if I was like, hey, throw me some money at Magenta, they might do it. Or if I'm like, hey, we're doing a show next week down the street. If you're in the area, pull up. They might pull up, right? Because they're fans. And this goes back, this is kind of like a continuation of the video that I made yesterday where it talks about just the idea of understanding how to activate your fans and understanding that your fans are everything, right? That's what you're doing this all for. They're the ones that are buying your stuff. They're the ones that are going to your shows. They're the ones that are supporting you wholeheartedly. But you can't just treat them as like a number on social media, right? You have to treat them as if though there's high value to them, because there is high value. I like to beat a dead horse sometimes in these conversations, but the 1,000 fan theory, where it's like if you can get 1,000 people to rock with you and spend $100 with you a year, you're making $100K a year before taxes. Now it's really hard to not really hard to do, but it's actually a lot easier than it seems, because a lot of it just comes down to communication and what your communication skills are like. Because a lot of people, a lot of artists drop music, a lot of artists put music out, and they're like, oh, I got music out. You should gravitate towards it. And it's like, no, you gotta make your fans feel special. You have to make your fans feel desired. This is why fan clubs even exist to begin with. Like why they even started the concept of the fan club, because back in the day, fan clubs were for the people who really, really rock with that artist. And if you're a part of that fan club, you get certain perks because you rock with that artist so much, whether it's concert tickets or whatever, right? You feel special. You feel activated. I think nowadays it's like, well, my music is so good that they should feel special off my music. And it's like, well, maybe if your song's really, really good, but there's a lot of stack that you have to get through for that music to even be heard. And though your hardcore fans will be there to definitely get you over that hill and share it to people who might be new fans. You know what I'm saying? Simple as that. Anyways, this is a good place to stop. Thanks for watching The Q. We'll be back again with some more news tidbits and some more motivational stuff to help you maybe get through the day or maybe inspire you to be great. Maybe not. Who knows? Who knows? I do know, though, that you can follow us at thequasarcult.com for more stories, more news, things like that. You can also go check out my movie, The Bond, which is out now on Tubi and Amazon Prime. I appreciate everybody who's watched the movie so far. We're doing some crazy numbers on theirs, actually. So it's super cool to feel special on that. So thank you all for those who have watched and purchased the movie. And you can also go follow us at Star Trek TV on YouTube, or you go follow my page, Jaron Eichner, on YouTube. I'm really starting to pick up on that, dropping content every couple days. So if you like me talking in a somewhat articulate manner, go check that shit out. Thanks for watching, y'all. We'll see you soon. Peace and release. Later, dudes.